And coming up, the NBA trade deadline is on the way. Thursday at 3 Eastern, Brooklyn Nets head coach Steve Nash has quashed all speculation about James Harden being traded, saying he's not going anywhere. Okay. He also said that Harden repeatedly told him that he wants to stay in Brooklyn for the long term, and called all the speculation just noise from the outside. Now, Harden has multiple contract options at his disposal for next season after he turned down that 3-year, $160 million extension in the offseason. Here is one issue. He has been in and out of the lineup with hamstring tightness, same thing that bothered him last season. Nets have dropped 8 straight. They're 29-16 before that skid. That matches the second longest single-season losing streak by a team that entered 10 games or more above 500. And by the way, no NBA champ has ever had an 8-game regular season losing streak. As we are joined now by NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski. So, Woj, let's pivot to the Lakers, another preseason favorite. They sit at 9th in the West right now. We all saw that Russell Westbrook was benched once more by his head coach, Frank Vogel, for that overtime win over the Knicks on Saturday. What's the likelihood the Lakers are active in the trade market?
Hey, Hannah, the Lakers are trying to be active, but the moves that they can make, by and large, are around the edges. They're limited in scope, really by the assets they have on their roster, how their salary structure is built. Remember, they have so much money invested in LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook. And Westbrook has a $47 million player option on his deal for next year. That makes trading him very, very unlikely. And so as you move down their roster, the kind of deals they're in the market for, I think role players that might be able to come in, give them some help on the bench. But they used a lot of their assets in the Westbrook trade, which included trading a first-round pick last year. They have another first-rounder that they could send out a few years from now because they owe New Orleans still in the Anthony Davis deal. So I think while the Lakers are on the phones, they're discussing deals. Nothing that I think would be impactful as they try to chase contention in the West.
Yeah, contention, even just making the playoffs, right, at this point. Meanwhile, Ben Simmons remains on the 76ers, obviously the subject of much speculation regarding a deal for James Harden. So what's the latest you're hearing on Simmons and Philly and potential talks before the trade deadline?
Well, Philadelphia certainly, they're going to remain engaged around the league on Ben Simmons, but their asking price has not changed. They want a steep return for Simmons, and it's, teams like Sacramento who had great interest in Simmons. We reported maybe like 10 days ago that they had backed out, that they were going to move on, try to do deals elsewhere, that they just weren't ready to meet the Sixers' price. And I think Philadelphia is ready to take this into the offseason. They would obviously love to get at James Harden either in free agency or via trade. And there'll be other players in the offseason, maybe teams who flame out early in the playoffs, or teams look to break up groups of star players that they think they could then become engaged on Ben Simmons. But this is an organization that will talk through the deadline this week. But I believe they're ready to take this into the offseason toward the draft and free agency. Remember, Ben Simmons is under contract for another 3 years after this season.
Right, so Daryl Morey has not moved off those high expectations he has for a return for Ben Simmons as they sit at 5th in the East. Woj, we will talk to you next hour about the breakup, sad to say, of the Indiana Pacers and much more. Thanks.
Thanks, Anna.
Now, ahead of the deadline, Adrian Wojnarowski reporting the Cleveland Cavaliers have a deal in place to get Caris LeVert from the Pacers for Ricky Rubio and his expiring $17 million contract, a lottery-protected first-round pick from this year's draft, and 2 second-round picks. LeVert averaging just under 19 points and just over 4 assists for the disappointing Pacers. LeVert joining a Cavaliers team that is stunning the Eastern Conference. They lead the East in defensive rating and rank top 5 in both assists and rebounds per game. And their odds to win the title sit at 40-1, which is still a long shot. But consider that they entered the season at 500-1 odds. Let's bring back the aforementioned NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski. Woj, the Pacers have another player that teams could be targeting in Domantas Sabonis. Which teams are you hearing could be interested in trading for him?
Hey, Jay, well, certainly Domantas Sabonis, Miles Turner. And Washington is a team with a lot of interest in Sabonis. They certainly want to upgrade that roster around Bradley Beal. Indiana's an interesting team here between now and the rest of the trade deadline. A little bit of an epicenter. You know, they've got two first-round picks in this coming draft and an early second-round pick. They could go out in the marketplace and be aggressive and try to bring back a really good player in the offseason, or they could go full rebuild here. That Ricky Rubio contract they got from Cleveland, $18 million expiring contract, I'm told that's had a lot of value in the last day. There are teams who want to create some cap space for this summer. Rubio's deal helps them do that. And so you may see Indiana flip that Rubio contract that they got from Cleveland and turn that into some more assets.
Okay, we'll watch that. And which other teams do you expect to be active at the deadline?
Now, let's start with Sacramento. This is a team, I think, that they feel very determined that they've got to make some moves here at the deadline. Harrison Barnes is a player, versatile forward. There's a lot of interest in him in the league. Buddy Hield, their shooting guard. They've been in talks all over the league on their players. Portland's another team. They made the Norman Powell, Robert Covington deal. CJ McCollum is a player, they're engaged with teams here, and we'll see if McCollum is moved by the deadline. He's under contract. They could wait till the draft, but you're seeing in Portland, an organization that's trimming some salary and trying to reshape a roster around Damian Lillard.
Woj, deadline 3 p.m. Thursday. We will keep a look on that, and we appreciate your update.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.